The air in the funeral parlor clung to my skin, heavy with lilies and grief, as my brother's voice sliced through the murmur of mourners. "Sign it, Daniel. You don't need the house. You've got her." His eyes, sharp as broken glass, pinned me against the wall near the guest book, where my parents' names stared up in elegant script. I clutched the pen, my knuckles white, but it wasn't his demand for my share of the inheritance that burned. It was the way Sarah, my wife, stood behind him, her gaze flickering away, her fingers twisting the strap of her purse like she was unraveling a secret. I forced a breath, the kind that catches in your throat when the world tilts. "Mark, not here," I said, voice low, trying to tether myself to the moment. My parents' caskets gleamed under soft lights, twin anchors of loss, and yet here was my brother, demanding I carve at their legacy before their bodies were even cold. Sarah's silence pressed harder than his words. She'd always been my shield at family gatherings, her laughter a balm against Mark's barbed comments. But now, she stood mute, her face a mask of something I couldn't name. Guilt? Fear? I pushed the thought away. Not Sarah. Not my Sarah. The parlor smelled of wax and old wood, the kind of place where memories linger like dust. I remembered Mom's voice echoing in our childhood home, the one Mark wanted me to sign away. "Daniel, you're the dreamer," she'd said, her hands floury from baking. "This house is your roots." I'd laughed then, too young to understand permanence. Now, standing in this room of hushed voices and black attire, I felt those roots tangling around my heart. Sarah's hand brushed mine, fleeting, but her touch felt like a stranger's, cool, distant. I told myself it was the day, the weight of it all. She was grieving too, wasn't she? "Let's talk later," I said to Mark, my voice firmer than I felt. His jaw tightened, but he backed off, melting into the crowd of aunts and cousins. Sarah followed him, murmuring about getting water, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. I watched her go, her slim figure weaving to the mourners, and a flicker of unease stirred. She'd been distant for weeks, late nights at work, phone calls she took in another room. I'd chalked it up to her new promotion, the stress of her marketing job. But now, that excuse felt thin, like paper stretched over a lie. The service began, and I sat in the front row, Sarah beside me, her hand resting on mine, but not holding it. The minister's voice droned, a steady hum of platitudes about eternal rest. I tried to focus, but my mind snagged on her perfume, jasmine, sharp and unfamiliar. When had she stopped wearing the vanilla scent I loved? My chest tightened, not just from grief, but from something darker, a question I didn't want to ask. I glanced at her, her eyes fixed on the caskets, but they were dry, unreadable. The Sarah I knew would have been a mess, her mascara streaking, her hand squeezing mine like a lifeline. This Sarah was a statue, polished and remote. After the service, we drove to the cemetery in silence. Rain tapped the windshield, blurring the world outside. I wanted to ask her what was wrong, but the words felt like stones in my mouth. Instead, I said, "You okay?" My voice sounded small, like a boy's. She nodded, her lips a tight line. "Just tired," she said, and I wanted to believe her. I always had. When she'd stayed late at the office, when she'd canceled our weekend plans for a work emergency, I'd swallowed her explanations whole. Because love is trust, isn't it? Because doubt is a crack that widens until it swallows you. At the gravesite, the rain soaked through my suit, chilling my skin. Sarah stood under an umbrella with Mark, their heads bent together, whispering. My stomach twisted. They'd never been close. Mark's cynicism clashed with Sarah's warmth, or so I thought. But there they were, sharing a moment I wasn't part of. I turned away, focusing on the twin holes in the earth, the caskets lowering slowly, like the end of a song I wasn't ready to stop hearing. When I looked back, Sarah was alone, her umbrella tilted against the wind, and Mark was gone. Back home, the house felt too quiet, the kind of quiet that amplifies every creak, every thought. Sarah kicked off her shoes and headed upstairs, claiming a headache. I poured a whiskey, the amber liquid catching the light from the kitchen lamp. My parents' house, our house, loomed in my mind, its wraparound porch and creaky stairs a map of my childhood. Mark's words echoed. "You don't need it. You've got her." But did I? The question clawed at me, sharper now, fed by the day's strangeness. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through old texts from Sarah. Her messages used to be warm, full of emojis and inside jokes. Lately, they were clipped, functional, running late. Don't wait up. I opened her laptop, left on the kitchen counter, the screen glowing softly. I don't know what I was looking for. Reassurance, maybe a glimpse of the woman I married. Instead, I found an email buried in a folder labeled work. It was from Mark. Meet me at the usual spot. We need to talk about the plan. My heart stuttered. The plan? I scrolled further, finding more emails, dates stretching back months. He's clueless, one read. Just keep him distracted. The room tilted. I gripped the counter, the whiskey glass sweating in my hand. Sarah's footsteps creaked overhead, and I imagined her up there, plotting, her betrayal a living thing between us. I wanted to storm upstairs, demand answers, but my legs felt rooted. Instead, I opened another email, this one with an attachment, a scanned document. My parents' will, marked up with notes in Mark's handwriting. Cut Daniel out. House to Sarah. My breath caught, sharp as a blade. They weren't just taking the house. They were taking everything. My past, my trust, my marriage. I heard her coming down the stairs, her steps slow, deliberate. Daniel. Her voice was soft, but it carried an edge, like she knew something had shifted. I closed the laptop, my hand shaking. What's wrong? She asked, stepping into the kitchen, her eyes searching mine. For a moment, I saw the woman I loved, the one who'd dance with me in this very kitchen, who'd promised forever. But the emails burned in my mind, undeniable. Why, Sarah? My voice cracked, raw with everything I'd held back. You and Mark, what's the plan? Her face paled, her lips parting, but no words came. The silence was louder than any confession. I stepped closer, my heart a drumbeat of rage and heartbreak. You were supposed to be my home, I said, the words spilling out jagged and true. Not his. She reached for me, her hand trembling, but I pulled back. It's not what you think, she whispered, but her eyes betrayed her, guilty, cornered. I didn't need her to say more. The truth was a weight, crushing the air between us. Mark wanted the house, but Sarah, she wanted something else, something I couldn't see until now. Freedom, maybe, or power, or him. I turned away, the whiskey bitter on my tongue. The house, my parents, our marriage, all of it was slipping through my fingers, like rain through a broken umbrella. I didn't sign the papers that day. I didn't confront Mark. But as I stood in the kitchen, the ghosts of my parents' voices fading, I knew one thing. I'd never trust Sarah again. And that loss, sharper than grief, would haunt me longer than any empty house.